Good morning, everybody. This is Tara, the Executive Director at the Portugal Cove St. Philip's Chamber of Commerce. And I just want to thank you so much for logging into this meeting today, Proposal Writing 101, which is, I know Rhonda will tell you, it's once you know how to write proposals effectively, that is a fantastic business tool to have under your belt. I know I can certainly learn a lot more. So Rhonda Tulk-Lane, she is the owner of Lane Strategies, and I've known her for well over 10 years, Rhonda, I think. And I just know you nothing short of a fantastic business advisor. That would be, I guess, the best way I would put that. You're always so helpful, so knowledgeable about how to run businesses successfully. So I'm really happy to have you here today. And Rhonda is also the ED over at Music NL. So she's a busy lady, but I know that they hired her specifically because she is so good at all the things I just mentioned. So I will now pass it over to Rhonda, and thank you for all of those who logged in. I think we will be expecting some more people to log in as we go along. That's okay. So yes, Rhonda, please introduce yourself again, and let's enjoy the next hour, everybody.
Great. Thank you, Tara. And yes, I think you're modest 10. I think we're pushing almost 20, maybe 20 years. It's been quite some time since we met when we were much younger with the youth organization. So thank you so much. I was so excited. This is actually my first presentation to a chamber in person. All the other ones I've done through the pandemic have been pre-recorded, recorded, and put in a library. So even though we're not together having a coffee or a tea, it's so nice to actually have people to interact with. So as Tara mentioned, I was really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to our time together, and hopefully a sharing and learning from you. And I'll share the things I've learned over the last little while. And this is going to be very basic proposal writing, but I'm going to tie in some critical things that I've learned over the last 25 years that have made my proposal writing work for me. And it comes back to the networking, relationships, joining your local chambers, getting involved and meeting new people and sharing. Like it all makes that proposal, those ticks in the boxes. So we're going to touch on a few of those items today. So let me move over my view of you and let's get started. So given that we've got such a small group, I would just love to know a little bit about you. I think most of you here I may have met before in different networks, but I'd love to know a little bit about you and what your connection is to proposal writing. Are you hoping to learn more? Do you do it already? Are you in a role where you work and you're reviewing proposals? So just love to know what your connection is when it comes to writing proposals. So Tara, I'm going to make sure I can see everyone. Maybe I'll get your help to kind of go around the virtual table.
I can, I see everyone here. Hello, Stephanie, by the way. I think you just have your picture up. We don't see you in person. That's okay. And so, yes. Oh, there you go, Stephanie. Hi. Thank you for joining us. It's, we got you in there last minute. And so I will start just so I'm not calling anybody out in particular first. My connection to proposal writing is through the chamber itself. That would be, and wanting to, my role as an ED is to keep our members connected with different events, although be it online right now, to help them develop their business skills. So that's my connection to wanting to have this event today for my members and for myself. Oh, and here comes another attendee.
Perfect.
All right, Erin, did you want to move on? Erin is, she's a business owner, but I'm going to introduce her as someone who sits on the board of directors for the Portugal Cove St. Philip's Chamber.
Sure. My name is Erin Gallant, and I'm one of the board members, as Tara said. Super happy to be here. I also run a not-for-profit called Stable Life Spirit Horse NL, which is a mental health program that uses horses to help people with their mental health. And I have, being in a not-for-profit, writing grants and proposals is definitely something that we rely on, and donations, that kind of thing. So I'm not great at doing that. So I would like to improve upon it.
I'm sure you're fine, Erin. Give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back. What you have is an amazing business. Who else would like to go? Kathleen, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Kathleen Clark. I'm here because I actually dealt with some proposal writing in a position that I held about 4 or 5 years ago. It was mostly templated proposals, so I've never really actually written a proposal myself. So when you're thinking about delving into the entrepreneurial world, this is a very valuable skill to have. So I'm hoping to do that by the end of this year. So proposal writing was a natural sign up for me. So looking forward to all the takeaways I'm going to get from the amazing Rhonda today.
Wow, I'm sure looking forward to learning what you have on the go there, Kathleen. We'll catch up about that later.
For sure.
And Stephanie.
This is an interesting year for me because I lost my job at the end of November. And so now it's between, well, music, as Rhonda well knows. So obviously I'm going to be applying for grants. So that's always, I think it's a transferable skill, whatever the subject is. But also I have I'm considering setting up an activity as a consultant. So I might be going for funding through that. And I mean, I'm still keeping hope that my board game one day, so I might be needed for that. And I have even another obscure project with the Bowering building downtown. So I feel that for many things, I really might need these skills.
Excellent.
And I know Rhonda's wonderful, so that was an
of course. And then we have one more person, and again, I apologize for saying the name wrong, but it's Hyen Vu. Are you there online?
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Morning.
Hi. Good morning. My name's Hyen. You can call me Anna. I'm working with the Multicultural Women's Organization of Newfoundland Labrador, and we are looking for new funding sources. So that's why I'm very interested in the proposal writing.
Excellent.
Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Oh, frog in my throat there. Okay, well, that's everyone for now. I do expect some other people will join us, but let's back to you, Rhonda.
Okay, thanks, and welcome everyone. Really humbled to be here and so excited that you did sign up. And I think we're going to have fun. So there's 3 things we're going to touch on this morning in our journey, and we will finish by 10 o'clock, keep everyone on track. And as Tara said, this will be recorded and put in the library. But as well, I'm good at the end, I'll share my contact information, and I'm here for your just to network with you if you've got questions, you've got answers as you go through this journey and process, because it is one of continual learning. And every proposal you write, depending on who the funder is, if it's a government one, if it's a small one, a large one, they all look different. So you're always going to be learning on this journey. So we're going to touch on 3 things. We're going to touch on just the very basics. And again, the things that I have found to be successful, you may or may not find them to be successful for you, but it's definitely some tools for you to think about. As well as I mentioned, the other things that make a proposal successful. And it truly is the relationships you've built. We're going to talk a little bit about a few specific examples on how do you get to know your funders better? How do you start building those relationships without being bothersome, annoying, and getting to build a solid relationship with your funders? And then how to find the funding. So I'm going to leave you with some tips, a whole sheet of different funding opportunities that are available, not only in our province, but across Canada. And I'm sure I'm missing some, so we'll probably be able to add to that. So before we jump over to our agenda today, I want to tell you just a little bit about Lane Strategies. So I started Lane Strategies right in the middle of the pandemic in July. Well, I sat on my patio. I always wanted to have my own consulting company, and I was just really busy doing other stuff. And I thought, well, everything has been turned upside down. This is a great time to start a small company. I was also in a transition myself. So I was leaving one role where I had almost spent a decade and looking for my new role. So in July, I was preparing to leave the St. John's Board of Trade, where I had spent almost a decade and doing lots of proposal writing there. And then looking for what was next for me and what organization I could find. And of course, as Tara mentioned, in September 2020, I was successful in becoming the new executive director of Music NL. So it was an interesting time to start a small business, but I did. And I want to tell you, one of the first thing I did, as I'm located in Holyrood, I joined my local chamber of commerce. So for me, being in the geography I was in, the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce was my chamber. And I immediately signed up because I knew the value of the network, just getting out there, getting my name. And I can tell you that I immediately saw the payback. So for the small investment of my membership, 150, I'm not even sure what it was. It was very reasonable. I immediately saw that return and got a small contract through the chamber that paid off my membership for the next 6 or 7 years. So being a part of that network is critical. I also decided to invest in Enlo. So for me, it was really important to get my brand out there and to let people know I was now in this business. So I know sometimes you wonder, and a lot of times when money gets tight, those are the first things to go. But I believe in times like we're in, they're the place you want to put your money, because your return on investment, if you work it, you will see it. And I can speak to that for me. So it was exciting. As well, I want to share with you just a little bit of my success so that there's proof that what I'm telling you actually works. So just leading up to Lane Strategies, I was successful in bringing, I think it was about 1.5 million in contracts through my proposal writing. And I'm currently in the middle, I've done another 9 million, waiting to see if they've been approved or not. I found out last night that 2.5 million proposal that I wrote is approved for companies, company outside of Newfoundland and Labrador. So it's working. And what I want to share with you today, some of the reasons why I think it's working, because it's not just about getting the proposal. There's a few other key things you're going to need to work on as you go through that journey. So a little bit about my very small company. And feel free, if you want to ask questions, raise your hand. If you have an idea or there's something that you've learned, I'd love for you to share that. So as well as the 3 things we're going to do, I have some goals set for us this morning. I'm hoping that you expand your network. So hopefully there was someone on here that you've never met before. And I've already hit goal number 1. I knew Kathleen and Stephanie. I didn't know Aaron. I don't think Aaron and I had met, at least not on Zoom. And I didn't know Anna. So I've already achieved goal number 1. I'm expanding my network. I also hope that you learn at least one new thing this morning during our short time together. And if you don't, connect with me and I'm sure we'll learn together. And the last goal for us this morning is a challenge I'm going to make for you. I want you to commit to get to know one of your funders just a little bit better. So, for Stephanie, it could be getting to know David at Music NL just a little bit better, so that when that funding application comes in, he's built that relationship with Stephanie. He's talked to her. For Aaron, as you look at finding funding for your not-for-profit, and as well as being on the board of Portugal Cove St. Phillips, you're probably looking to some government funding agencies. So if you don't know who's sitting behind that desk of where the application's going, you really need to find out. You've got to do a little bit of work to find out, if you can, who they are and get connected. So those are my goals for us this morning. Any questions about the goals that I've set out for us? You feel good about them?
Feel good.
Okay, awesome. And Tara, you keep me on time. All right, so we're gonna start right at the basic, right at the beginning. I want to share a couple of just key things in your proposal. And I think Kathleen, you had mentioned when you did your introduction. For me, I know when I'm thinking about if there's no template, I find it very overwhelming. I'm just looking at my blank Word doc.
Agreed.
I always find it's better to start with something versus nothing. That's my take on how I'll dig in, especially if there isn't a template already provided. Sometimes, and maybe there's some examples you can think of, there could be a template. Other times there aren't. I've been actually amazed at some of the proposals I've done over the last year during the global pandemic, especially with the federal government or working with ACOA, Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency. There was no template. There was nothing. And it again, struggle a little bit on how then, where do I start? What am I doing? So that's why I'm just going to share with you a really simple way where I kind of get started, and it'll be a tip. It may or may not work for you. And I've also, besides using just the Microsoft Word templates, I've toyed around with, sometimes if you just go on and Google, you've probably done this and look for templates. Has anyone done this before? Yeah, no, yes, yeah.
Yes,
I've had good success and I've had bad success. Most recently, I found an online one, and when I finished it, of course, and when I went to download, I should have did my research. There was that little fee. Of course, I couldn't do anything with it, and it wouldn't let me cut and paste. So I had everything put in the proposal, and I was getting ready, and it was on a tight timeline. And anyways, I decided it was a small amount to pay and downloaded it. My point is, while you're looking at these online proposal templates, make sure you're aware if there's a small fee to download it, if you're able to cut and paste your work after you've done it, or if you simply just have a better comfort level using the Microsoft template. And what I'm going to do, I just want to show you a couple of things, because I've got, if you're a person that likes to have something versus the blank page, I want to show you. So I'm just going to stop sharing this screen and bring up a new screen. See how my skills are. Here we go. All right. So what I simply want to do, I'm going to share my screen with you again. All righty. All right. Let's give this another try. Now, can you see my word perfect? My word perfect. How long has it been since I used word perfect? Is that even a thing anymore? Microsoft Word. So this is, again, proposal writing 101. I want to show you the way that gets me going. And as you'll see, the journey changes. So what I start with first looks completely different in the end, but I will just use Microsoft Word. I'll go in. Have any of you done this? I'll just type in proposal templates. Hold on. Try that again. You're still seeing what I'm doing? Yep. Mm. Proposal. So here we go. Always the same three because I haven't added. When you go online, you're getting a broader use of templates. This is the one I brought up just last week. This will open up now. I want to show you just a few quick tricks for those of you that need something as you get started, as opposed to having a complete blank screen. So again, this is very basic, and I'll change it up and add all the things I need as I go. I just really wanted to show you how simple it is. You know, so you got you put in your names. Each of these little templates tell you what to put in. Again, if you're struggling and there isn't, it just tells you what should go there. Once you're finished with them, you get rid of it. So of course, you've had your overview. What I like mostly about these templates, so you've got your overview. I've become accustomed to really enjoying the first part that has the objective, the opportunity, and your solutions. So what is it you're trying to get funded for? We're going to touch on a little bit later about your funder. And remember, your funder isn't in your world. They may be receiving funding from different sectors, different organizations. So it's very, very important that you stay with very plain language, very simple. You know, what is it you want to achieve? Also, how are you helping the funder achieve their mandate? Because as you look around the funding world, they all have their own mandates that they need to meet. And that's really what they're looking at. As they give that $5,000 to you, that $25,000, that $250,000, they got check boxes as well that they need to have filled. So you really need to get into their shoes and remember that they are not in your world. And depending, I mean, some of your funders may be completely in your world. Other funders may not. For example, to give you an example right now, I have a proposal in with the Office of Immigration and Multiculturalism. They have nothing to do with music, but I want to engage more newcomers. So I really need to switch the way I'm thinking when I'm submitting my proposal to the Office of Immigration. I mean, there's going to be some things about music, but predominantly it's about engaging the newcomer and helping them create a life in Newfoundland and Labrador. So you've got to switch that way of thinking so you're meeting their objectives as well as yours. That's why in this template for me, I've used it several times now and been successful with it, that I like the key objectives, the opportunity, and the solution. So what is it you're going to solve? Again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but this is the meat of your proposal that you throw in. Some of these I go through, I like and I don't like. So this is how I just kind of go through it, and I don't have a technical approach. I'd get rid of that. A lot of times under the resources section, again, this is all in here. I talk about, so what is it I need to make this proposal successful? Maybe it's to grow the capacity of my board of directors. It could be human resources, some skills. Project deliverables, again, what is your proposal going to achieve? Your timelines, these are all very basic, and I'm going to flick back to our presentation, but I just wanted to show you how easy it is to get something started. I got rid of the supplies. I don't usually use that one. What do you expect to achieve again? And you'll notice in this template and many others, it's bulleted, and it's bulleted for a reason. You want to stay away from big, large paragraphs of words. You really got to focus in, and we're going to talk a little bit about every word matters, and you almost need to go through it and be like, does that word need to be there? Is it adding anything? Is it adding value to my proposal, or what am I saying? Is it just fluff and stuff? So that's why a lot of proposals, you've got your headers, it's very clean, clear, and you're going to see bullets. Really the approach to go with. Again, technical benefits, if that's part of yours. If there are other benefits to your community, thinking again around Anna and writing proposals for the Multicultural Women's Organization. There's so many benefits when they get funding that helps the community, that helps our province, that helps Canada. So you can really build in some things here with Erin, the mental health benefits that come with the work she does. It's just amazing. So depending again what you're writing for and benefits, this is where you'd fill in how are you achieving and helping the greater community that you're in. So I always like that section. Your pricing, I usually change that to my budget. And I got my budget section. Again, if your funder may give you specific guidelines. If you're bidding on an RFP, you know the maximum amount you want to touch. It could be broken down, so you know it's only a $5,000 proposal. So again, this is yours to customize. Quite simple. Your qualifications. Again, depending if you're a private business and you want to share some of your successes as a not-for-profit, anything you want to put in here, good to go. There's a section here. We're getting to the end of this little example I wanted to show you. I really like, and I've put this in all of my proposals now, is just a nice conclusion, kind of summing up, ties in your cover letter then to the conclusion. You get your digital signature, put it in there, and you update it. And you've got yourself then a really nice, basic, solid template that you can craft and change. And for some of you that aren't comfortable with online or digital, or if it's new for you, the other things you're able to do that I love, which makes it look really fancy, is right, you're gonna insert your pretty cover page. Again, you can make it look as however you want. So you got check, click, your cover page is in. Looks awesome. The next thing you're gonna do, because you've used the template that I've shared with you, each of these are headers. So you're able to insert a really, really fancy table of contents. And some of you may know this little trick. Again, this is basic stuff. let me just show you. I'll go down here and do something to do with that. So have any of you used it? Like, it's really simple, but it just makes it look good and looks like you know your stuff. So you put in your table and look, already created. It's taken every single one of my headers and you don't ever touch it again. It's in there for you and it's brilliant. You always just go to the top and you're going to say, every time you make changes, update my entire table. Boom, your contents is done. It's these things are simple. So what you've created is your blueprint, your cover page, your table of contents, your executive summary you'll do last as when to finish. And of course, this one, I'd move my table of contents up right after my title page. I'd probably put that right here for sure. But what I wanted to give to you this morning was just a really quick example of how you can create your blueprint. And what I've got done now is I've got one of these done and all prettied up for Lane Strategies that has the basics. So my shell, my cover letter, as I showed you, how to insert the beautiful table of contents that then is picking every single one of your headings. And as you update it, it beautifully does that for you. And at least what you have then is something to start with. Now you're ready as you dig into the funder. So who is it you're going to? As I said, is it the Office of Immigration and Multiculturalism? Is it the for Tara, is it the federal government? Is it a COA? You then need to switch into their shoes and pull out their language. So what are the language they're using? What is it that you want to share about your proposal, but using their language? So I'm just going to stop sharing this because I just really wanted to give you an example of how I get started. And I just wanted to remind you, this was Proposal Writing 101. So I'm keeping it really basic, but that's it. And you've got yourself your blueprint. You've got everything you need to get started. You can make it look way more fancy. This is where now you start really crafting and make sure you save it. But for those of you that are struggling, having that white space and not knowing where to start, gives you that perfect starting point. You feel a little bit more accomplished, even just getting that much done, that you're ready now to start the journey of the proposal. So any questions or thoughts, or maybe you have some great examples of your own templates you use that you found useful or didn't find useful?
Well, I know with the government, a lot of them come with their templates built in. I was going through one yesterday, a job grant, and I love that they have the template there, just fill in the blank. It just makes my life so much easier. Like, no matter how comfortable I am with writing it, it speeds it up. So I really appreciate that. I think, my experience, all the government funding I've gone after has templates to go by. So I don't know about all of them, but I'm sure they find it makes it easier for them too.
It would, yeah, keeps it consistent,
Yeah.
Definitely. All right, I'm just going to bring up my presentation again. Can you see it? We're back.
Yes.
Oh, good. So this was the example we kind of just went through. So really easy. Check, cover page, click, table of contents, click. You'll do your executive summary last after you've done everything, just summing it up. The proposal, I've highlighted because this is where I really want you to now go to your funder's website. Find out their mandate. What is their mission? So for Stephanie, she's already done this and she's well aware of it, but she's going to dig in if she's applying to Music NL or if she's applying to Factor, which is the national organization that delivers a lot of money. You're going to go and dig into what is their purpose. What is their reason to be on this earth as that organization? Because I'm sure I'm going to tick all those boxes in my proposal. I'm going to use that language. And it sounds silly and so easy, but it truly is a cutting, pasting exercises to make sure you're in their headspace as you write what it is you're going to do to help them achieve their mandate and you achieve what you want to achieve. So that's that piece. That's the meat where you're going to dig in. And then sometimes, as Tara said, if you've got the template, pretty easy, but you still want to use their language and know what their goal in life is. Your About Us, that's your section. So again, that should be fairly simple for most of you. You're going to go to your own your own website, your own bylaw, you know, you're going to just cut and paste your own piece. This is something you'll have ready all the time. Your budget will change. You'll want to know if there are any special terms and conditions when you're doing the proposal, as well as really dig into how you can submit and how they want that submitted. Most, do you remember? I remember so well. I mean, you had to, I was doing proposals and you'd have to print, like they'd say, print 10 copies and envelopes and drop it off to the office. Do you remember those days? Or 5, you know, 5 copies. Again, we're really moved to a digital world, and most of them will prefer an email. I had an interesting one yesterday for me. I'm doing a proposal right now to tourism, tourism, arts, culture and recreation. I think that's it. And it said no PDFs.
Oh.
I thought that's the first time I've ever seen that. I always usually make my document a PDF. Obviously, the funder, who I know her name is Libby. So trust me, I'm getting to know Libby before she retires. Libby's going to get to know me. I'm going to email Libby weekly. For some reason, Libby may need to cut and paste, I don't know, out of the Word document. I'm not really sure, but it said no PDFs. So that struck me as interesting. And that's with the provincial government. So just check your terms and conditions for sending your proposal. As well, a lot of times there could be a budget template that they prefer you to use versus you may be putting it into the proposal, putting into an Excel sheet, or using their template. So these are just the conditions of your funder, and you just want to make sure you know all of those things. And then next steps. So what happens next? Usually in that conclusion, I'll put a nice little message and then tell Libby I'll follow up in a week just to ensure she's got the proposal if there were any questions. So these are your 9 steps for proposal writing 101. Very basic. Most of them are very simple. As I said, a click. The hard part is learning about your funder, getting that language right, and making sure you're not using too many words and that every word matters. So I want to talk a little bit about timelines. And this is a message I got from a colleague of mine in Alberta last night. Just read it. I did a proposal for Ken, and it was successful. It was $2.5 million proposal. We did it in December. He just got approved yesterday. And as you can see, he was told that it was going to be an easy process. It would be expedited. They needed to do the work right away. And it took 4 or 5 months. So my point in sharing this very real life example is you need to decide on your return on investment, the time you're putting into that proposal. I think Ken has been going back and forth with the federal government since December. He's really, really busy. He's got a lot on his plate. So I don't think if Ken had known the amount of time, follow-up, and all the work that needed to go into the proposal we did back in December, I'm not sure if he would have proceeded. He may have, but my point is you need to look at timelines. Some of you may be familiar, and I have this on the tip sheet I'm going to share with you. The provincial government has what's called labor market partnerships. It's a great pot of funding if you're looking at anything that's helping the labor force or talent. The application process and funding says 6 weeks. It should say 6 months. So again, my point is here, you really want to dig in to find out the realistic time you're putting in, the time it's going to take for the funder to get it back to you, as well, because you're probably also, like with Aaron, you have an organization, you have staff, you have employees, you may need to hire. You need to know, am I really looking at 6 weeks or is it next year? And most times you can get, they can get that from history. You can talk to someone else. How long did it take? But really important for you to talk about the timelines and be very realistic as you look at your proposals and how long it's going to take for you to find out if they were approved or not.
I had one grant that I was successful in receiving through the Red Cross, and it was a 17-week grant. And by the time they actually sent me the money and approved it, there was only 10 weeks left to it. So I said, how am I supposed to do this? So a lot of creative financing. I had to go around and redistribute and reallocate things so that I could still do it. But, you know, the same thing with the Canada summer jobs. You have to be finished applying by the end of January or something, and you might know a week before the job is supposed to start. So then you have to find people and all that. So yeah, that's the stressful part, is you're kind of hanging, there's no guaranteed income. You're kind of hanging on, waiting for those grants to come in.
Yeah, no, Erin, it's so right. So it is, isn't it? It's, you're juggling, you're balancing along with everything else you're doing in your organization or your life, when you're everything. So it's really a juggling act as you look at the proposal. And what it's for and how it affects you. So really critical that you ask those questions up front. All righty, so moving along, how are we doing for time, Tara? All right, 19 minutes, let's go.
Yeah, we're good.
So a couple of tips, 5 tips I want to share with you. So once you get the draft of your proposal done, whether you decide to go online and you want to explore, and I do this a lot, like I'll try different products, but again, I think for me the solid one is just the Microsoft Word. I got it, I saved it, don't need to pay anything. I got it saved, I can cut and paste as I wish. What you can then is go visual. If you're able to use some very nice, high quality graphics as you're sharing stories and you're sharing quantitative data. So the more examples you can show to prove your previous success or what it is you want to do, you want to put those in your proposal. Again, you need to show that you can deliver. You've got this, and how, your previous successes. And if it's a brand new one, that's okay. I mean, you're gonna talk about expected results a little more, but anything you can do to show your successes in other areas are critical. We already talked about, we're embracing digital. We were thrown into embracing digital this year in 2020, 2021. You have no other choice. So you're probably not printing off proposals and delivering them anymore. You're definitely going digital. Make sure you follow the terms and conditions of getting that proposal submitted. I can't stress enough the read and reread and fresh eyes. Bring in someone that hasn't seen any of it and ask them if they wouldn't mind just going through the proposal for you. So you can pick up, you at this point now have been looking at it way too much, and you're not picking up on your own little mistakes, errors, things that you think you're reading it and it's written differently. So get someone else to look at that proposal. If you're comfortable, put it up on a shared drive, have others be a part of that. If you're in an organization, and you can have your other team members or your staff or friends of yours feed into it. And the final tip that I want to share, I will always print off my proposal after I'm sick of looking at it online, and I will read every word. Mm-hmm. Every word matters. Does that word add value? Should it be there? Are you providing too much stuff? Not enough qualitative? So make sure you read every word and make sure that what you've got on that paper, it means something to that funder. All right, so that's really the technical part. What I want to share with you today are critical things that I've learned over the last 25 to 30 years and why my proposals have been successful. So I do want to ask, how many of you can actually say you know your funding officers? Do you know them well? Do you still need to do some work depending on if you know where you're applying? Are you able to answer that question today? Do you know the people behind the email or the organization?
Mm-hmm. Some of them. I have a good relationship with ACOA. I really know, and so when I started with my role, I actually spent about an hour Zoom call with the person at ACOA that I have to build a relationship with so that we could just get to know each other. And she appreciated that as much as I did. And it really helped, I'll tell you that. Because then if there were any issues with the funding or whichever, it made it much more comfortable to go back to her instead of just talking to a screen. Yeah.
I've been fortunate that some of my funders, we most recently received some funding through Violence Prevention Avalon East, and they kind of applied for the funding on my behalf because they wanted me to do a program for them. So they had the relationship with the Canadian Women's Foundation and then kind of told me, oh, we applied for funding, and I thought it meant like $2,000, and it turned out to be like $40,000, which is quite a
Wow.
difference. So I'm kind of new to applying for funding, and same thing with the Canadian Red Cross. The person from Violence Prevention Avalon East already kind of had a relationship, so she helped me fill out the application. But one thing that I really like is that your advice of kind of like copy and pasting, because I thought that was cheating, because that's what I do on like every application: copy paste. Oh, look at this word they keep using, let's throw that in there. And so that was, I thought, okay, I didn't know how to write the meat of the proposal, but I'm glad to hear that my what feels like cheating strategy is exactly what they want you to do.
For me it is, and I think as well, depending on the world you're in. So like Tara in her awesome new role with the Portugal Cove St. Philip's Chamber, I came from the chamber world and move, and I'll call it the association world, member driven associations. It's R&D is a big thing, and by R&D I say rip off and duplicate. People are so willing to share, and then you tweak, right? You want to be careful of copyrights and plagiarism, but then you tweak it, you customize it. I mean, why not take the hard work of those that have gone before us and use it, because that's what it's there for. So work smart, not hard. So it's I'm a huge fan of doing that. Of course, I always customize it, but that's how I get ideas, and I see great things that work well. So my advice would be do that, and then customize it and make it your own. So that, and Aaron, that really speaks to that relationship, right? They had enough trust in you. They knew that your organization or you, that you could deliver. Imagine having, people filling out and doing this on your behalf. The trust is there. They know that your organization is solid. So that is so critical. I can't stress that piece enough about relationships. Just over the last 6 months, I'm going to share with you, I've been called and I have been gifted 157,000 in grants. That's 3 different ones. I did nothing to seek them out. My funders and people that I've worked with needed things accomplished, and they knew who could deliver. And this happens. So I had $100,000 from ACOA, another $50,000 from ACOA, and then just Friday, $7,000 from the Association for New Canadians. Calling, they're in a jam and they need to get money out the door. And this happens all the time. So when they know you, they see your work, they know you can deliver, guess whose phone's ringing? And it's a real thing. But it's only real because you've proven you can produce and you can do this and you have a solid reputation in the community. But it's definitely a gift, and it's so rewarding. if it fits with your mandate. Sometimes you have to say no. A lot of times, I'll make it work. You make it work. But this has truly happened to me. As I said, just as late as Friday, the ANC called. They were struggling to place someone. It was a perfect fit, and they gifted me $7,000 for 100% of a wage, and the COA money as well. They're really trying to help the community right now. Small business. Lots of not-for-profits, the chamber worlds, membership associations, multiculturalism groups. They are waiting for you, and they've got money. So your network is critical. So what I have for you, Tara's gonna send it out. It's an experiment that I want you to do with your network, because this is how these gifts are going to arrive at your doorstep. It's called just experiment with your network. And I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. And Tara, after the call, you'll send this out?
Sure. Yeah.
So it talks about, in the next couple of days, I want you to look inside your network, and I want you to talk to someone that you don't really know and find out what they do. Very simple stuff. You've probably done this before. The second task in our experiment is, in the next 3 weeks, I want you to reconnect with someone completely outside your circle, but in your sector or in your industry. And either do a Zoom coffee, or maybe you're actually able to go for a real coffee face to face if you feel safe and can do that. The last one is the most important. I'm going to show a quick video. I want you to make a list of 5 people that you need to get to know better. They're not in your network right now, and they're strategic to you. So they're you're going to learn in just a couple seconds about 3 different types of networks. This is your strategic network. And I want you to think about, who are those 5 people that I want to get to know better? And you're going to figure out ways to strengthen your relationship with them over the next 3 months. So we've got a 3-day plan, a 3-week plan, and a 3-month plan. And these things I'm going to tell you from my experience have proven to be successful down the road. It's why why those phone calls came in for the 157,000, because I built those relationships and they knew I could deliver. So we're going to send that little exercise out for you after our call. And now, yes, it's called Experiment with Your Network. We're going to just watch a quick little video on the different types of networks that are going to help you become a more successful proposal writer. Okay.
I've seen some leaders say, all right, now my role is more externally facing, or now my role is more cross-functional. So who are the key people or the key groups that I really have to connect to in some more profound and personal way in order to do what I need to do? They'll say, okay, these 2 people, I got to see them once a month over dinner. These people, I need to have a coffee with them maybe a few times a year. These people are, I just got to keep after them a little bit more frequently. And then they measure themselves. How am I doing? Have I done what I set out to do? Managers need 3 different kinds of networks. The first of them is your operational network. The second one I call your personal network. The third network, which I call the strategic network, is the one that most managers don't even know it exists, or just really don't pay that much attention to. And this is a network that is very much tied to your contributions and your value added in the organization, but on the strategic dimension. This network is really more of a mix of internal and external relationships that can keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening. It brings you things that you weren't even looking for, because you're talking to people, and when things happen, you find out about it. And it helps you and also puts you in a position to connect the dots. What got you here won't even keep you here. We get so vulnerable to what I call competency traps. You like it, you do it more, you get more practice, you do it better, you like it even more. We even start to filter our networks in terms of people who value the same things we value. The implications of that are that we constantly need to work on some of the things that don't come as naturally. And every senior manager I talk to would like to allocate more time to strategic concerns. It's about being able to see what's happening in the world and then see how that connects to what you're doing in your group and in your organization. The only way to be more strategic is to connect outside the organization. When you look at most organizations, they tend to have a lot of women that come in at the entry level, and then something starts to happen around the middle level of the organization. The research shows pretty clearly that it isn't about any kind of overt discrimination, and most of the time it isn't either about women not wanting those roles and not wanting to do it. What it's about is something that's quite subtle and hard to explain. We call it second generation bias. You can unpack it in 3 different boxes. By the time you get to the middle level, women are found statistically disproportionately in staff roles. The second bit has to do with who helps you and who helps you to get into those roles. And what we've been seeing pretty clearly in the research is that women have lots of mentors, but those mentors are not sponsoring them into those key roles. The third category of things that really play into this has to do with stereotypes, and our stereotypes about what leaders look like, what they walk like, what they talk like, the real image of the leader in this organization, which of course has been colored by generations of successful leaders in the past who have been primarily male. But there comes a time when reflecting on the past isn't necessarily going to get you to where you want to go in the future. I often encourage them to try to get as much outside rather than insight on themselves as possible by doing things that are outside the usual, that they haven't done before, that take them outside their past trajectory and allow them to imagine other opportunities.
All right. Okay, so I wanted to share that because I like the breakdown. And if you've never done this, can you hear me? Awesome.
Yes.
It really breaks down your network, right? So that audit. So again, who's in my operational network? Who do I talk to daily? I got a problem when my computer just froze. Who do I call? Nerds on site, my colleague. But you got an operational network. You have your personal network, your friends, your family, you need them. Then it's that strategic network. And remember your exercise, you're going to list 5 people over the next 3 months that you need to get to know better to help you get those funding grants that are really going to drive that home. So it's exciting. And you may not have thought, okay, I'm going to talk about building relationships in this, but it's a crucial part of the success. It truly is. The last and final section is where do you find the funding? And I hate to be a broken record, but again, it's being out there, it's talking to people. You probably know certain grants already, but there's so many. I keep learning about new ones every day. And the only way is because I'm talking to people in my network, outside my network. I'm jumping on Zoom calls. So, thanks for leaning in and being here, because you're going to take something away. I'm going to send a tip sheet that has about 30 different funding places to get funding. I bet you know some of them, but I bet you're going to learn a few new ones. I also have my own database. So every time I learn of a new one, I pop it in my database just to keep it, because I can't keep up with it. There's always new ones, especially for wage subsidies and bringing on talent. And now in the global pandemic, they're putting more money into those pots of funding. So there's lots there. And the third is just, again, asking people, do you know of, how did you get that funding? How did that work for you? I find most people are so willing to share. Actually, as that came out of my mouth, sometimes when it comes to money and pots, they're not willing to share. I am very open. So call me. I'll share everything with you because I do believe we're stronger together. And if you can get money and help, I just give it all away. And truly, it keeps coming back to me, way more. So I believe in that. Other people may not be so open to sharing with you, depending on the sector you're in and if there's competition for funding. But predominantly, I find most people are. So you're going to get an excellent tip sheet with about 30 to 50 different areas for you to apply in funding after this presentation. And that, I think, I wanted to share one. I'm going to close with one short, two quick stories. I got 3 minutes, and then open the floor, see if there's questions. I want to talk a little bit about that example and why I'm pushing you or encouraging you to do your, look at that network. So I was encouraged. I have a sales coach, and she said, make a list, Rhonda, of all the people you want to talk to. You're going to call, and you want to know, these are the people that hold the money. So she said, we're going to call Fortis. We're going to call Bell Alliant. I'm going to call this one. I'm going to call that one. So I did up a list, and I reached out just to say, how has things changed for you over COVID? Are you still investing in the community? Do you still have that pot of money? And is it looking different because of the global pandemic? Man, I can't believe I can't believe I never did this before. I never reached out and asked my funders. They just loved, they were an open book. They wanted to schedule second calls. They offered to help me critique my sponsorship package. I thought, why haven't I done this? Why didn't I do this 20 years ago? I think a lot of people always go to your funders looking for money. They never go to them and say, would you share what you've learned over the last 20 years in your role about sponsorships? What can I do with my proposal? And when I talked to Rebecca Bell at Bell Alliant, she was just over the moon. She had sent me a presentation. She offered to critique my sponsorship package. I just couldn't believe I'd never taken that approach before of reaching out to my network and asking for their help. So I encourage you to do that. Ask your funders for help. What have they learned? What should your proposal look like? Be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to ask. In doing that, I put on the list that I wanted to talk to Judy Sparks-Guneau of Clayton Hospitalities. She owns a chain of hotels in Newfoundland and Labrador, and I just knew they invested, so I thought, why not? I was doing a list. I had to do a list of 20 for my sales coach. Judy and I started chatting, and we're actually connecting for lunch tomorrow. Through that connection, I found out that Judy sits on the board of directors for a small church in Brigus that has music festivals all summer long called St. George's, this gorgeous church. And she wanted to connect with the music industry. My point is, I reached out on something completely different, would have never have known Judy's role in her volunteer capacity. So just reaching out to people, you never know where it's going to lead. Another person I have on my strategic 5 is a lady who I found out existed last week. I didn't even know it was a thing. So the federal government have trade commissioners that work for Global Affairs Canada. And they have people in all different types of trade roles. I found out there were cultural trade officers. I didn't even know. Didn't know it was a thing. Didn't know there were people that worked in the Global Affairs Canada that were responsible for export in culture and trade and music. So I have a call this afternoon with Paula Kennedy out of Halifax, who's a trade commissioner. So again, reach out, start talking to people. You're going to build your network, you're going to build connections, and you're going to find the things that help you write those proposals, get to know people, and ultimately, I think, achieve success in getting the money you need to help your vision and mandate. So thank you. I hope you learned one new thing today as we set out in our goals. And I'll just open the floor for questions, comments. This is my my email. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. If you want me to take a look at your proposal before you hit the submit, love to do that as well. All right, Tara, over to you. Or Stephanie's hands up.
Oh, well, Tara could.
Let's, do you want to, okay, there we go. Yes, no, go ahead, Stephanie.
Right, well, I feel this need to, that was wonderful. I mean, really, I learned way more than just one, for sure. I'm a combination of like pumped and motivated and pissed off at myself. Because I'm realizing, like, for example, if you take, I don't know if you know about like B Sharp, my board game to help learn how to read music while attacking each other. My main issue has been like, I've kind of been like this tight knot. And so the idea is fine, that's pretty clear, but then it's untangling the knot of which steps to take when to build things, like, and like, do I focus my energy and money on this or on that? So that I've been quite good at drowning in a glass of water when it comes to that. Maybe it's a big glass. We'll say it's a big glass. And the other one is, so figuring out the potential funding that is out there. And you're saying, so obviously, ask around. But yeah, it's been, oh yes, and in the same vein, and I think it's a mentality shift. Like now things are unblocking themselves for the music aspect of things. But I was in this kind of catch-22 situation where I was like, well, I don't have money to get musicians to do stuff with, and therefore I can't have a demo that helps me get funding. So you can find yourself quite quickly. And so I guess with the board game, it's kind of been the same thing. But all this to say that I'm realizing that I probably could have gotten loads of money with the right, skills and approach, and I'd be finished by now and been making money potentially thanks to it. So do you have any advice on how to get the necessary clarification that helps you then go hunting? Maybe that's not part of today's, but obviously, yeah.
I think we'll have to do a proposal writing 102.
Yeah, exactly. I'm aware
So
of that.
there's a lot. We could turn this into a half-day session, but most people can't sit for longer than an hour online, which is understandable. But we should look at doing that because it was a wonderful presentation,
Yeah.
Rhonda.
Stephanie, we'll connect offline just on some of those things I can share with you, advice, or where can you go now specifically to the game, and where right now there might be some good opportunities.
Okay, thanks.
Would anyone else like to ask anything before we end the session?
I don't really have anything to ask, but I think it just confirms things that I knew about myself already, but I wasn't sure of. And so hearing other people kind of say, yes, you're already doing it. I've been a big believer in doing and not waiting around for things to happen. So, when I started my program, I said, even if I was very, very fortunate, was the recipient of $300,000 from the Merbuys calendar 3 years ago, which just came out of nowhere. And not everybody can trust in themselves that, things will work out. And I certainly wasn't that person a long time ago. But if you do the work and then trust, things will work out, because people will hear what you're doing and see what you're doing, and then they'll want to be part of that. And they want to jump on board because it's, the new thing to kind of, I won't call it riding your coattails, but I've had a lot of people try to ride my coattails before, because of success. So if they're going to ride my coattails, I'm going to ride theirs too, and see how those relationships can build. But yeah, one of the biggest things was just, knowing that you're already doing it and keep doing it, and to kind of stop some of that self-doubt. That's probably one of the biggest things, and the relationship building.
It is.
Thanks.
Erin, I just got to share this. You probably can see, but it's you hit on a key thing of the book. I'm almost done. Act like a leader, think like a leader. Nothing happens as long as you're in the thinking. We can think and think and think and think. Nothing happens until you act. And you said that. And you'll probably act, and you're going to get it wrong, and you're going to fail forward, but you actually need to do something to start getting feedback. That's the only way. So you just hit on it. You're so right. You've got that courage. Give it a try. I want you to fail. You got to fail. That's how we learn. So, but nothing happens when we're still in that thinking, and it's hard because you get stuck in there, right? That self-doubt. So yeah, you got to take that first step and act. And then the feedback starts coming like wildfire. Cool.
Well, that's wonderful. If anyone else has a question, please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I do like to try to keep events right kind of on time, because I know everyone has, a busy day ahead of them, places to be. So I'll get that tip sheet from Rhonda that I will send out at some point today. Okay. And again, this video recording will go in our video library, which is good, because I can see there were a lot of people signed up for today that couldn't make it. So I'll be sending the link out to where it is on our video library, in case you want to go back just to watch it again.
Just a quick comment, Tara, if I may. Thanks so much. I really found a lot of value in this today, so I'm really glad I signed up. I'm kind of taking a little bit of pressure off myself, because I felt like I was cheating working in templates for proposals. So that's great. Thank you for that. And I already know the value of, establishing and maintaining those important key relationships. So I know I need to join my local Chamber of Commerce for one, and Enlo for maybe later this year. So that's fantastic. Great tips there. And just building that strategic network. And I heard you mention that you had a sales coach. So I know it's very important to have a coach at some point. So that might be something I need to look into, just for my own, just to kind of get me to that next level. Love the suggestion on the book, because, leaders are readers. So maybe that book is going to be on my next, on the next list that I have. I have like 4 books going on right now. So I'll make that one my next one, hopefully.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I was able to use, I know, Terry, we got to go, but I was able to use the Newfoundland and Labrador Canada Job Grant. So as an employee, or if you own the organization, you can get up to $10,000 a year to invest in your skills and training. So I was able to get the $10,000 for my sales coach.
Wow. Where was that, Rhonda, you said?
The Canada, Newfoundland and Labrador Job Grant.
Okay.
I've used it 3 times, like $10,000 I'm using it as long as it's there, I'm pulling down on that. I'm going to get trained.
Right, exactly. Perfect. Amazing. Thanks for all your help today.
You're very welcome. You've got my email, rhonda@lanestrategies.ca. Call me, connect, but you want me to take a look at a proposal you're writing, and keep focused on that R&D, rip off and duplicate.
I love it. Well, thank you, everyone. It's been a pleasure. Keep an eye out for all the other events that we're going to be doing. The Chamber is hosting at least every couple of weeks a different event like this that will help you gain some new skill sets. So please stay tuned for that. Right now, they are open to members and non-members. So yes, keep an eye out for that, and we'll hopefully see you again soon.